This is the H&K UMP. The variant that I have here is the UMP45, meaning that it fires the 45 ACP round made popular by the 1911. This is also available as the UMP9 and the UMP40, which fire 9mm and 40 Smith & Wesson respectively. So this is a side upgrade, sort of a diagonally up upgrade to the MP5, and we will talk about that in a moment and compare some of the features and controls. But for now, I just want to mention why this thing exists. So it's a submachine gun, obviously, meaning it's a combination of a rifle and a handgun caliber, which is just shortened down. And 45 ACP, I think, would probably be the best caliber for this because 45 ACP is inherently subsonic. That means that it travels slower than the speed of sound with standard loads, unlike 9mm, which you would have to get a special subsonic round, which will have generally a heavier bullet and or less charge in order to make that 9mm round go slower than the speed of sound, because once that bullet leaves the barrel, that sonic boom cannot be suppressed. So the 45 ACP round is pretty good for this because you don't lose any power from that round. So I have a suppressor on here now, and we're just going to take a few shots with it. Cool. And if you were counting earlier, you may have noticed that this thing has a 25 round magazine. So despite having this hilariously oversized polymer mag, you can compare that to the MP5 mag on the right. Now granted, this 45 ACP round is significantly larger than 9mm, but this thing is still just overbuilt. You can see it has this little gray area there that's actually supposed to be a transparent window so that you can see how many rounds you have left, which was pretty handy. Though once you have just a couple left, around 5 or so, it's going to be impossible to see how many you actually have left. So unlike a PMag, which has a little orange dash on the spring that will allow you to see just how many you have, these magazines won't tell you how many rounds you have left once they recede into the magazine well. So I'm going to fire off another mag here. Let's close this folding stock. Now you can see that in this model here, it's blocked a little bit, but in reality, these shells would eject with no problem. Let's fire this from the hip. Cool. Now, this is actually one of the few firearms that I have gotten to fire in fully automatic in real life, that and the MP5 over there. And I have to say, this thing is somehow incredibly harder to control. Now, I know that it is 45 ACP compared to 9mm, but this thing has a significantly slower fire rate, which should compensate for the difference in recoil of the two rounds. I don't know what it is, how this thing's manufactured. I'm not too sure about the engineering, like the recoil springs and the bolt carrier, bolt weight, the blowback systems. I'm sure that all factors in, but it's oddly significantly harder to control. At least that was just my experience firing off 4 or so mags of each in real life. So let's go over the controls with this. You can see the safety, the fire selector here. We have a universal, no language fire selector. So safe there, single shot, 2-shot burst, which some people like because they say that second round is much more likely to get on target than the third round on a third round burst, and then fully automatic. On the MP5 there, you can see that we have a bit of an older receiver here. We've got single fire, single shot, or I'm sorry, safe, single shot, and fully automatic, but they did have later receivers which would allow you to change the fire rates beyond that. So on here we actually have a couple different ways to reload, as you could see earlier, because this has the addition of this bolt catch there. So it has last shot hold open. When you fire that last round, the bolt will hold back, unlike the MP5. And I can just show you that because we have free virtual magazines everywhere. So substantially higher fire rate there, but you can see on that last round, the bolt has not held back for us. So we would have to go in with the new magazine. Well, it has a paddle release there, so you'd have to use your offhand, take out that mag, throw the new one in, and then cock it. Or you can open the bolt like that, hold it open on this latch there. And the reason you want to do that is because when the bolt is closed like this, the bolt carrier is going to interfere with that top round. So it's going to be very difficult to push a fully loaded magazine in there and get that to actually catch on the hold lever for the magazine. because you're fighting all that spring tension in there. That spring is compressed all the way down into just about that area. So by holding the bolt open like that, this will slide in with no resistance. You just have to catch that lever there, and then you can do the classic HK bolt slap like that. These have similar iron sights, these two rifles. This rotating turret here, you can see the first mode that we have is this V-notch battle sight. Line them up very much like pistol sights, and then you can switch over to a circle there, much more reminiscent of rifles that you might be familiar with. And then we have some other ones, and these actually change elevation. You can probably see just barely the height of that circle changing in there. So that will change your elevation. You can dial that in for longer ranges, though past 100 meters, these aren't going to be the most precise tools because they are still firing handgun caliber. So as I mentioned earlier, in this one, when we insert a new magazine, when you have that last shot held open, we can push that button there and it will drop the bolt. You can do everything else that you would on the MP5 the same way. So on the last shot, that's going to hold open regardless. You can still pull this back. Once you get it past about here, it's going to disengage that hold open there. So you can see now that the magazine is there, the follower is pressing up against this mechanism, this lever here, which is going to keep that bolt held open just by the pressure of that bolt being pushed forward by the recoil spring. But once you pull this back and disengage that, that lever is going to drop on its own, and then this is going to float forward. So you can still do... I did that completely wrong, the order there, getting a little confused. So what was our situation here? We're emptying a magazine, last shot hold open. We can still hold that bolt open like that, but I'm not sure what the reason for that would be, unless you just want to slap that mag or slap that bolt closed to feel awesome. Now some people say that you shouldn't do that because these that metal part right there, that lip that this has to rest on, is going to get worn down, but these are weapons of war. You're just going to be able to keep an eye on that and just do it the best way that is going to be most effective for you, and then worry about that receiver when you're out of harm's way. Last way you can do it, got to get that held open. You can just cock this back all the way and it will release that. So next we're going to talk about some of the other upgrades. The main thing here is that you have a lot of extra rails just inherently attached to the rifle. It's getting a little cluttered, so let's just scoop those off. So on the MP5, if you want to add something like a sight, you're going to first have to add this adapter rail, which is going to clamp onto the receiver. And once you get that on there, you're going to want to screw that down pretty tight. And while that does create a pretty good fit, it's still not as good as a from the factory situation like this UMP, which is going to be a more solid connection. So after that, you can then put on something like a red dot. So let's keep on firing this. Cool, pretty good. Let's get rid of that one. And so let's say we're going into kind of like a night scenario where we want to be stealthy and quiet. Well, you can't put a foregrip, a laser, or a light on there. You're going to have to switch out that front foregrip, which, is possible, but still another step. So in the game, I can't pull this off. So we're just going to have to jam that on and it'll figure it out. And then we can add that foregrip, a laser, a light, what have you. And then we also can add a suppressor, just depending on if you have a threaded barrel or not. So let's go through another magazine. A very cool slap. And now we're in full tactical mode. Once we put it on fully automatic, that is. Sweet. So that same process, let's just go through the UMP45 here. Let's keep that open, safe, unloaded. Foregrip, I only have one with me right now, so I'm just going to switch it back over. No problem. We've got a tri-rail up front just attached there. You can pull those off if you want to just have a, a smoother grip or add some rail covers. And then let's throw on this short EOTech hollow sight and no other lasers. We already got the suppressor on there, and fire it off. I think this is a pretty empty mag. We'll shoot it off anyways. Yeah, I still had a few in there. But can you hear the difference between those fire rates? let's go ahead and just do a straight up comparison between the two. So I'm going to load them up with a full magazine. Now this one has a 30 round mag compared to the 25 round mag of the UMP45, but the MP5 has a faster fire rate. So which one do you think will empty its mag first? Place your bets now. Let's get them both in fire. And we're ready to go. What did I do here? Oh, did I not cock it? Oh, it's got one in the chamber. Huh, something weird. I guess just a little glitch there. Reset! Okay. 30 rounds. 25. Fire, fire. And we're all set. Okay. Worked flawlessly that time. You could see that the UMP45 finished later. That slower fire rate. I don't know if it's just a result of the engineering, or it was intentional, and done through the engineering. But that slower fire rate is there. It exists. Some people like it, I'm sure. I mean, the grease gun had that slower fire rate. People said it was way easier to keep on target than something like a Thompson. And, you know, it worked for them. So you decide what's better, more rounds down range or more rounds on target. You know, ideally you would have both, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. So last thing we're going to do, just a bunch of shooting and trying to see if we can compare the speeds and reloads, but not really. Just another fun thing to do. So I'm going to back this up all the way to see if we can get any advantage from the UMP45 slower fire rate, because it is going to be short some bullets since we're doing the same amount of magazines in this test. Let's put that off to the side. Actually, I'm going to put that on my back. Nope. There is a back holster somewhere. Okay, well, put it on my right shoulder anyways. And we'll do 4 on the chest and then 1 mag in the gun for a total of 5. Make sure that's clear. We're out at 30 meters and we're ready to go. We'll start them off on safe. Not too shabby. How was that? 998 points, all shots on target, so we've got a little bit of work to do with the UMP45 to match that. We're going to have to do significantly better because we're going to have 25 less rounds. Looks like I have just the perfect amount of mags set up there. I almost forgot where I put this thing. It's hiding on my back. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Make sure I remember to clear that beforehand. And then this one in the gun. Started off on safe. 1 in the chamber. You know, I'm going to do something a little sneaky here. You will see what that is in a moment. I tried to flip the gun. All right, take 2. Oh. Ah, well, it's going. Range rules have definitely been violated. What's going on? What am I doing? Oh, that was ugly. That was really ugly. Let's see if I can try that one more time. If we can do this correctly. Fold this in. Give us a little less room to deal with. All right, well, that's gone. It was worth a try, I guess. Would have been cool. So thanks so much for watching this video on the UMP45. I'm going to grab it so you guys kind of see it while I'm talking. It's a nice bit of kit. It's a cool firearm. If you can shoot one, I mean, if you can shoot literally any gun, I would recommend go out and shooting it. This thing is only available in a very civilianized version. It has a stock that has it's like a fake thumbhole stock, not folding, single shot. It's not really quite there. I'd say it's like 80% of the rifle without, or the submachine gun without the fun modes, that being burst fire and fully automatic. I forgot to compare how those two went. Ooh, we didn't do very well at all with that UMP45. Missed a shot. I forgot that my hand doesn't appear. Missed a shot, and we were 155? Quick maths. Not my specialty. Worse, basically. So UMP45, this one at 45 ACP, also available in 9mm and 40 Smith & Wesson, though I'm not sure that's important unless you are law enforcement and can actually get your hand on this guy. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see any other videos, please let me know. I will link a description of the video I did on the MP5 down below and in the cards or end screen. But again, like always, leave your comments, subscribe if you're not already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.